everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my full base foundation and more routine for you. So you're probably looking at me like right now like you're totally missing things. And so I stopped before I did anything on my eyes. I didn't do my eyebrows and I didn't do my lips. So this is everything before that, or everything besides that. And today I wanted to do my not so much every day, a little bit more than that, but also not quite full glam craziness. And I know you're gonna watch this and be like, but you used 2 highlighters, and I'm gonna be like, I did. So yeah, so I just wanted to do a nice medium-ish to full coverage look for you guys, so that you could see the order in which I put things on and how I use the tools I have in order to achieve a look that is like not cakey, even though I use a lot of products, because the idea that the more products you use, the more cakey you are isn't necessarily true. And you can use, 15 different products on your face and not look like you have used that many. And it's really in how you apply them and how much you're putting on. So I went through that a little bit, and I also showed you a bit how I mix my foundations in order to get the finish and color that I like. So if you want to see how I did all this, just keep on watching. Thanks, guys. Okay, so starting off with a clean face, I am going to first prime. And I just got this primer this weekend. I used it for the first time earlier today, and so far I'm liking it. It is the Becca Backlight Primer. And I'm just going to take about a pump of that all over my face. And it's illuminating, but I didn't find it broke up my foundation or made my face greasy in any way. I just found it gave a nice luminosity without looking oily or weird. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I normally mix my foundations, and usually what I mix foundations for is the finish. Only sometimes do I really have to mix for color, though usually my finishes are slightly different colors, but usually I want to get a satiny finish. So I usually mix a dewy foundation with a matte one. And today, for that, I'm going to take a mix of my Makeup Forever HD, and this is the original one. And I don't mind the difference between the two. This is just the one I have. And it's an N130. And I take about a pump and a half of that. And then I'm also going to use my L'Oreal Infallible. And this is in shade 101. Which is like my I'm freaking pale, it's February, middle of winter shade. And I am going to put it just a little bit right in the middle. And then I just mix them together with my finger. And I find that the Infallible really makes every other foundation last a really long time. And it also keeps me, even just using that little bit, it keeps me from getting super oily throughout the day, which isn't so much a problem for me anymore, but I still like to do this technique. So I will take what's on my finger from mixing it and swipe on one cheek, get about the same amount on the other, and then just dot a little bit over my face. And I focus a little bit on my problem areas, which are generally my chin. Thanks, hormones. And around my nose. And then lately what I have been loving to apply my foundation with is a stippling brush, and this is the Morphe M442, and it's a big fat stipple brush. When I first got this, it shed, and then I washed it for the first time, and I have not had that issue since, and I have really been loving this brush. It makes blending out your foundation like totally effortless. So I'm just gonna go in. And with this first layer, what I'm really trying to do is just buff the shit out of it, basically, into my face. I'm not super concerned with covering every blemish or whatever. I want this to really be buffed into my skin, to be part of my skin, and not just look like it's laying on top of it like sometimes foundation can. And I find that the best way on my skin to do that is to really take this first layer and buff the shit out of it. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I buffed down my neck just to make sure I don't have that line, because nobody wants that. Okay, so that to me is sufficiently buffed in, and you can see that the general tone of my skin is evened out. There is some redness still around my nose and then where my blemishes are. So what I will do is go into the foundation that's left on the palette and tap into it and then start stippling it over the areas I want more coverage. And then bring any residual where there's a little bit of redness but nothing too crazy. And you'll hear me say basically over and over when talking about my skin routine, my base routine, that foundation is not concealer. Your foundation is not supposed to cover every blemish. It's not supposed to make every bit of redness go away. It's just supposed to even out the canvas. And you know, you're gonna have, if you have problem skin, you're gonna have redness left over, and that's fine. That's what concealer's for. Foundation is not the thing you want to layer over and over and over and over and over again in your face, because that is how you get cake face. And really buffing out that first layer is like the ultimate protection against cake face, because you're not putting two thick layers, you're putting one really thin layer and then one sort of medium layer, and just in the places that you need it, not all over your face. And anywhere that there are crevices or creases or whatever, mostly around my nose, I make sure to buff in really well even with the second layer, because if you ever get that where a foundation settles in the lines around your nose, that's because you have too much product there or you didn't blend it out enough, or both. So I always make sure to blend that area really well as well. And I'm just gonna go one more time over here, even though I'm gonna need to put concealer on it. And I just make sure that everything is blended. So that's foundation. And from here I will, I will move on to my under eyes. And the first thing I will go in with is corrector. And you'll notice that I didn't bring my foundation up under my eyes. And that is because foundation moves, and foundation is supposed to move. It's supposed to be pliable because you move your mouth, you talk when you have foundation on. So in order for it to not break up in those areas, it's supposed to move. Therefore, when you put it underneath your eyes, anything you put on top of it's going to move around a little bit, even if you set it. Because generally, and you should do it this way, you put powder over your cream products. So when you put the foundation on, you don't set that and then go over it with concealer, because that would be awful. So you're just putting another cream layer on top of your foundation and then setting that, which means that your foundation never gets set underneath your eyes. So if you ever have an issue where, you know, you're getting a bunch of creasing or whatever, try not putting your foundation under there. The stuff that you would put under your eyes, like a corrector or your concealer, is generally formulated for that area so that it doesn't move around. And if you get like Benefit's Erase Paste, for example, is very, very emollient, which is good if you have dry under eyes, but also not good if you have fine lines, because it, like I said, it's emollient, so it moves. So I like to use a drier formula just to make sure that where I place my product, it's going to stay and it's not going to just fall into every crease I have. So a little tidbit, but I'm going to go ahead and go in with my corrector, which is just the same Pixie corrector I've been using forever now, and put that under my eyes. And I try not to put too much, and that's why I go in with the brush, because if I do it with my finger, I tend to just get too much. But the brush really helps me control where I put it and also control the amount I put under there. And since I do have darkness on my actual mobile lid, I take it up there as well. I'm not a huge fan of brushes underneath the eye. I feel like on me, personally, that always leaves brush strokes and I don't want to see that. So I don't blend anything out under my eye or set anything under my eye with a brush. I'm going to go ahead and go in with my fingers and just blend this out. So now that that is in place, I'm going to go ahead and go in with concealer. And today I am going to use the Urban Decay Naked Skin, and I'm using it in light neutral. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to bring it down and all the way across. And then I'm going to fan it out here so that there is no like half moon shape of concealer. I want it to all blend nicely into the foundation. I'll go on the other side and do the same thing. And I bring what's ever left on there right underneath my nostrils because that's where I get redness. And then I'll also take this over any blemishes I have or any redness. And then sometimes if I'm feeling frisky, I'll take it down my nose and up here. But since it's a pretty good match, I don't normally do that. And then I take my beauty blender and I start blending. And I blend from the outside in and then down because I want the coverage to be where it's darkest, and for me that is in the inner part of my eye. And I blend down and out so that it's all blended out here. And I'll take it over my mobile lid. Again, just because I have darkness there and I like to even it out. And generally I use my concealer to prime my eyes, unless I do my eyes first. Same thing on the other eye. And then when I go over where I have any blemishes, I'm a little bit more gentle because I don't want to blend away that coverage. So I kind of pat and roll just to blend it out without moving it around too much. And one thing about covering blemishes is you can get a blemish to exactly match your skin tone, but because it's a raised area, it's always going to cast a shadow. So you can cover the redness, but you can never cover the spot. There'll never be really a way to camouflage the fact that you have a raised bump. So when you are covering things, try to be realistic in your head about the amount of coverage you can get. I'm going to take my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder and set where I concealed. And what I do is, this is the side I blended my concealer with, and usually I wash my beauty blender like every 2 days or so. So I put it on the side I didn't blend anything out, because tomorrow when I go in, I don't want there to be powder that I'm also blending because it'll make everything really cakey. I take some powder and I set, and I'm not baking. I don't do that. I just like to blend it in with the with the beauty blender because I find that it gives me a better set, and I don't feel like I get this really powdery finish because the beauty blender is damp. It's just something that I really like to do. And I will do the exact same thing over where I put it over my blemishes. It really helps to extend the wear of the concealer there, so I don't have to touch up at all or as often throughout the day. Okay. Next I'm going to take my Sonia Kashuk number 29 brush, and this is the brush I've been using for powder for a couple years now, I think. I've just never found anything I like more. I'm going to take my Bourjois Healthy Balance powder, which I need to get another one of, and I'm just going to pounce this lightly over my face. And I do go over the areas, except for my under eyes, that I powdered before, just because this powder does have a tint to it. So I want to make sure that my face is generally the same color everywhere. And I take it down my neck because the finish of a powder versus the finish of your foundation can be different. And it's almost just as bad as having a foundation line as it is having a texture difference line. So I just make sure to take it down my neck as well. Today I am going to go in with the Tarte Showstopper palette for the rest of my face. And I'm not going to do my eyes, although this palette could totally work for that. I'm going to first go in with the bronzer here on the Morphe M527 brush, which I liked much more before I washed it. Now it's gotten like really fat and flimsy, so I preferred it when it was a little bit more dense. And I'm just gonna bronze up my face. Okay. And then to do a light contour, I'm going to take this Luxie angled contour brush and that same color, and I'm just going to carve out my cheeks a little bit. I normally don't find the need to contour my forehead, so I just don't. I just let the bronzer do the talking there, and I do under my jaw. And what I like to do here, since my face right now is sort of rectangular as I've gained weight, I do like to just go along this part of my jaw to make it a little bit more oval shaped, just to sort of match a little bit the shape of my forehead. And obviously you're not really fooling anyone, but it does help the illusion. And you just really want to blend it. Blend it very well. And if I'm, again, feeling frisky, I'll take just a little bit on the bottom of my nose, and then I don't really do a super amazing nose contour ever. I just kind of, you know, blend it out just a little bit, because I don't really mind the shape of my nose, so I don't change it too much. Sometimes, though, I will bring it up into here just to tie into whatever eye look I'm doing. It really helps bring that whole area together. Now for blush, I'm going to go in with the same blush that's in this palette, and I generally start my blush, because where you place your brush down is where the color is going to be the most intense. So I start that back so that it's not right here, so I don't look like a clown. If you start your blush like directly to the front of your cheek, that can end up looking too harsh or too garish or too clownish. So I start back and then I can blend it where I want it to go. So I generally start back here and just buff it out. Okay. And now I am a highlight layerer, so first I'm going to go in with the Ofra Cosmetics collaboration with the Dupe That Girls in You Do You, which is the more peachy color. And I'm going to take my Sigma F35 tapered highlight brush and run that on the tops of my cheekbones, and then I take it down the apple of my cheek here, and same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to go in with the highlight in this palette, which is, I believe, called Pink Champagne. And it's pretty intense. So I take just a little bit of it, and I'll go right on the top of my cheekbone and just blend it so it's not a stripe of highlight on my face. Same thing on this side. And then I will dab the tip of the brush in and do the tip of my nose and just a little bit down the bridge. And then I will also highlight my Cupid's bow area. Now, the last thing I want to do is go into my Kat Von D Shade Light palette over here and take a mixture of the darker peach and the yellow and go underneath my eyes with this just to brighten up a little bit more, because I have those under eyes that like you can't brighten too much. So just take it and I'll take it over the top of the lid as well, or the upper lid, whatever you want to call it, just because I feel like you can't set that area too much. So all you're gonna do is help any eyeshadow you put on blend easier. So okay, and that's really it. This is where I stop for the most part, and usually I do this whole routine and then I do my eyes. And on the days that I want to do a dark smoky eye, there will be some times that I will totally forget that I need to start my eyes first, and I'll go through this whole routine and be like, damn it, as I realize that I just totally screwed myself and I'm gonna get a bunch of fallout everywhere. But like I said in the beginning, this is my, not so much every single day, but a little bit more than that. I could definitely go harder on the highlight. I could do a deeper blush, or even a more chiseled contour for a special occasion. But yeah, from here I would move on to my eyes, then do my eyebrows, then my lips, and be done. The last thing I want to do, which I always do, because I don't ever want to look powdery, and I do notice a difference when I use this, is I will set everything with the Scandinavia, in this case the bridal setting spray, because it's the one I have. And I kind of go around the perimeter and then like down the middle. And that is really it. If you have any questions, totally let me know. If you want to see anything more in depth, let me know. If you want me to do like super glam, crazy contour, all that kind of thing, let me know. I'd be happy to do that. Please like if you liked the video, and comment what you'd like to see, any questions like I said, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And I will link in the description all of my other social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I hope you are all having a wonderful day wherever you're at, and I will talk to you later. Bye everyone!